What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game preview, another special Kickstarter preview, and today I'm very excited checking out Mind, The Fall of Paradise, from Vladimir Tenislav. This is for 1 to 2 players, even though I think it will go 3 to 4 in the future. It's for ages 9+, it'll take about 45 to 180 minutes to play, and in Mind, The Fall of Paradise, Earth and Mars are having a giant galactic fight, and you're sent off into some sector in space to try and make sure that that sector is nice and pretty and accomplishes the milestones that it needs to accomplish. But it will not be that easy because there will be fires and there will be sabotage and there'll be events and there'll be lots of things going on in this sector that you are going to have to deal with. What am I talking about? Let's open it up. I'll show you how it works. Alright then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Mind. Before we get started, I do want to mention this is the promotional copy in front of me, so take everything you see here with a grain of salt. So first and foremost, we're going to handy dandy rule booklet. It is very, very lengthy. I'd say 40, 50 pages, at least this one is that I have. And it's a very meaty game. I'm going to do my best to try and explain the different parts and pieces and how you can win the game, the components, but you need to know that I'm leaving a lot out when I'm doing this because there is so much going on in this game. But that being said, it's all somewhat simple what you're going to be doing when it's time to do it. So first and foremost, let's talk about the components, let's talk about the gameplay, but before we get into that, I want to explain how you will win this game. So if you're playing a 2-player game or a 3 or 4-player game, you're going to go 7 rounds and you're going to try and accomplish as many achievements as you can. If you're playing a solo game, then you're going to be accomplishing these 5 achievements down here. The 5 achievements are to have 5 researches opened up. You're going to try and have 5 citizens, 10 influence, build 5 sectors, or gain 10 fate. And these are all various different things that you will keep track of on this area right here. So let's start talking about the components. So this is going to be your sector. You're sent off into space, and you're going to have to deal with this sector of space. And in this sector, you're going to have various different buildings. You're going to have people. You're going to have fires, and things break down. You're going to try and open up everything, do research, do a lot of different things. So this is going to be your board, and you're going to set it up based on one of the different scenarios. And there will be different scenarios that you can utilize, and they're going to look like this. So there will be a good deal of replayability when it comes to this aspect. The back's going to show you which buildings you're going to start with, which citizens you're going to start with, progress, credits, resources, sabotage, because you're going to have to fix bad things in this game. And they're going to flip it over to the other side, and it's going to tell you what you're going to get on each and every turn. I'm not going to go into too much how this works, but pretty much if you're playing a solo game, you get all of this. If you're playing a 3-player game, you're just going to get the stuff on the bottom row. So depending on your player count, you are going to be getting different good or bad, most of the time bad things that will be happening on your research base. So next, we got a whole bunch of minis, and I'm pretty sure the game is going to come with finalized minis. These ones are already pretty nice little resin ones, and they're going to represent your actions that you're going to be able to take. Those are the little flags right there. And also they have these guys right here, which are going to represent the buildings that you're going to have, the structures, and each structure will be a little bit different. Next, you're going to have a whole bunch of dice because you are going to be rolling dice pretty frequently. Oh, just drop some in this game to do a lot of various different things because each of the buildings that you have and each of the units that you have, the people that you have, are going to do various different things. And you'll see these all on the card. Oh, that's a bad example. So in the docking center, every single building is going to produce, it's going to train, and then you can potentially research, but only if you place a star token up here, and you have to earn those star tokens. I'm not going to go too much into that, but that's what you need to know. You're going to have different buildings that will do different things, and you don't get to decide which buildings you get. They are all preset based on the scenario. Now, another thing that I want to mention that is going to help you out a lot is the fact that you're going to get this little player aid card. And this is kind of a big player aid card, but that's what you're going to want with this game. It's going to tell you all about the achievements, the factions event, the fate points, the steps of the game, the actions you can take, because each of your characters is going to have special actions they can do. They can produce, they can sabotage, they can potentially hack, but each one also can build, attack, resolve. These are just general actions that all characters can do, and it goes into all the different characters and all the different icons and the symbology, because there is a lot of symbology in this game as well. So big thumbs up on the fact that they give each player one of these as well. So we have got our game set up right now for the most part. So let's start talking about what else is on the board. So we talked about this top part down here, up here. Down here is where you're going to be keeping track of a lot of the bookkeeping stuff. This is where you're going to keep track of your credits, aka your money with this little white pawn. Here you have the red and the green, and this is going to be your fate. And what's interesting about this is this will actually impact what kind of person, what kind of character you are, because if you're more on the red side, then you'll get the red side. If you're more on the green side, then you'll be on the green side. So you might be more fearless, or you might be enlightened, and that will modify some things in the game. And so it's a little bit of a balancing act. You'll be like, all right, what do I want to do next? So I kind of want to switch my fate over to the green side, because that's going to help me in an upcoming scenario, because like I said, there's tons of stuff going on in here. This is, for the most part, a solitaire game, but you are going to be able to see the bad stuff that's going to happen to you in the future. And also, if you are playing this with 2 players, other people can potentially attack your building somewhat, but you will get to see it. They'll put the little token on here, so that's just like a token that you're going to have to deal with when you get to that point. So you can kind of prepare yourself for what is going to be coming in the future, and doing that on the fate track is part of what you're going to do. Next, you have your 10 research up here, and this is a really interesting aspect, because they're going to start all with these little exclamation points. You're going to shuffle them up, and then at the beginning of the game, you are going to get a certain amount of them that you're going to get to flip over. And these are going to be bonuses that you're going to get at the beginning, or during each round. And as you research more, you're going to get more of these bonuses. So this is like a really good way for you to gain things, because trust me, this game will be constantly slapping you down. Next, we're going to have equipment and overpower cards, and they're going to do pretty self-explanatory stuff. Read the cards. This one's going to give you armor, boots, belts, fixing things, hurting other people. Pretty self-explanatory stuff that you are going to be able to play on yourself to hopefully help you survive a little bit longer and accomplish those 5 goals that you're trying to accomplish. Last but not least, we have the turn tracker right here, which goes all the way up to 7. You're only going to play up to 7 rounds. So let's go through a mock phase, and hopefully you'll kind of get an idea for what's going on. So in this game, each player is going to do one phase at a time. So you will do phase 1, then your opponent will do phase 1, then you'll do phase 2, and then your opponent will do phase 2, and then phase 3, and then they'll do phase 3, so on and so forth. It's not simultaneous, but you're going to start off and you're just going to advance time. Obviously, you skipped this the first time, but you're just going to advance to the next one. Next, you're going to trigger all your cooldowns, and you're going to want to look all over the board, because there's a lot of different things, cooldowns, that will potentially do it. And they do a pretty nice job of listing them on here once you know what you're doing. But essentially, you're going to be refreshing your leaders and refreshing sectors. Fire is going to be spreading, because fire is one of the big problems that you will have to deal with in this game. Lots of stuff like that. You're going to be refreshing that. So next, you are going to trigger the effects. We talked a little bit about these earlier, but you're going to trigger the effects. So on turn 1, you would have all this happen. On turn 2, assuming you're playing a solo game, that is, all this. On turn 3, this, 4, 5, 6, 7, so on and so forth. Also, you also have to look up here too, because as I mentioned, other people can add bad stuff to your timeline, which means you're going to have to deal with more bad stuff that your engineers and your machines are going to have to work on. Next, you're going to get all your rewards, and this is where doing research is really going to help you out, because you're going to gain the rewards down here, and also building structures will also allow you to gain rewards as well. So if you look on the bottom of these cards right here, it will tell you that you are going to gain a reward. Oh, I almost forgot. So the command server isn't going to give you a reward, and I forgot to mention that this is the one odd duck building here, where it's pretty much just like a shop where you can just buy what you need. So this is a very important one to have out, because it will allow you to purchase what you absolutely have to have and might not be able to get depending on what state you are in the game. So after you've collected your rewards, you'll move on to step 5. This is where you're going to use your flags, which I'm assuming are probably going to be in the final version of the game, to activate your different structures over here and either do the produce, the train, or the research action if you have the little stars on there. After you've done this, then you're going to activate your citizens. This is where your citizens are going to go around, and hopefully they're going to be putting out fires or producing things, sabotaging things, doing a whole bunch of the generic actions that are on the back, just trying to make sure that your ship is not going to frickin' explode is pretty much what they're going to be doing. Also, you'll notice that there's these dice on the board, so there's going to be stuff that's scattered around the board potentially that if you go to it, you will get good stuff. And it kind of becomes like a balancing act, like, I think I can maybe run out there real quick and get this, but at the same time a little bit worried because I got this fire here, or maybe there's a containment leak. Lots of other bad stuff will be happening. Last but not least, you'll have a chance to move your fate tracks down here if you're willing to do a tribute. And as you probably guessed, doing a tribute is not the greatest thing to do, but you absolutely have to move your fate tracks because it's going to give you special abilities where they're not your red or green. But more importantly, it's one of the endgame conditions that you're going to have to meet. Now, I talked a little bit earlier about these endgame conditions that you're trying to reach, the 5 endgame goals. And what's unique is that once you get one of these, it's also going to trigger events. Once again, the events are listed on your handy dandy little player aid card, and generally they're going to do bad stuff for you, potentially bad stuff for your opponents, potentially even good stuff. But you're going to do that, and then that will be the end of your turn. Now, I know this is a lot to take in at one time. There's also going to be a lot of dice rolling. You're going to have specialized units that you're going to be recruiting and all sorts of various different things like that. Now, the last thing I want to mention is that after 7 rounds, if you have accomplished all 5 of the goals, then you will win the game. If you're playing solo, if you're playing co-op, or if you're playing 2 players or 3 players or 4 players, then you're just trying to accomplish as many as you can. Now, the interesting thing, though, is once you've accomplished one of the milestones, that doesn't mean you instantly just have it forever. They are constantly being checked. So if you were, for some reason, to lose one of those milestones, you have to go back and re-earn it, which is definitely interesting as well. But that, and hopefully not a too jumbled nutshell, is what you're going to be doing inside of Mind. Alrighty then, Mind, the Fall of Paradise from Vladimir Tenislav, coming to a Kickstarter near you very, very soon. I'll be sure to post that Kickstarter link down below. Who might be digging this game? First and foremost, if you enjoy solitaire games, this one feels like it was built up from the ground as a solitaire game, but you can easily bring people into the experience and play 2 players. And it still definitely is a solitaire experience, but you will have like events and other bad stuff you can unleash on them. Kind of think of it like a puzzle game where for the most part, you know, you're doing your thing, but if you do like a really good combo, then boom, you can kind of drop stuff on the other person and they have to deal with it as well. So there definitely is a little bit of player interaction there as well. Continuing onward, if you like lots of different things going on in your game, this one might just be for you. There is a lot to keep track of this. You're going to have bad events that are going to happen, and you're going to have containment leaks, and you're going to have fires, and there's an asymmetrical aspect of the game where Earth has its own superpower and Mars has its own superpower, and you're going to have different troops that you'll be able to put out, and there's different ways that you can go about accomplishing those 5 milestones that you need to accomplish. So if you're looking for a game that there's a lot to wrap your brain around, this one definitely might be for you as well. Last but not least, if you like replayability, this one might be for you because there's going to be different scenarios, and I imagine if this one does well on Kickstarter, there's going to be even more and more and more different scenarios that you will have to play with and deal with, and obviously the more replayability you can get into a game, the better. So that is Mind, the Fall of Paradise, coming to a Kickstarter near you very, very soon. Be sure to check out that Kickstarter link below. If it looks like it might be your cup of tea, tell them Bowers Game Corner sent you. If you enjoyed this preview, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below or in the comments below. Let me know, USPS or UPS. For me personally, USPS all day, baby. So much cheaper. That being said, I hate going to the post office. God, it's where time comes to die. Let me know in the comments below. USPS, UPS, or you one of those crazy FedEx ducks. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.